Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 40. Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paribrajakachaja Stotara Sata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Sila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Pramsaka Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasari Gora Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 40. 40. Neha Bikramana Shusti Prativayo na Vidyate Swalpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahatu Bhayat Neha Bikramana Shusti Pratyavayo na Vidyate Swalpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahatu Bhayat Neha Bikramana Shusti Pratyavayo na Vidyate Swalpamapi Asya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Hayat Neha Bikramana Shusti Pratyavayo na Vidyate Swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Na, there is not. Iha, in this world. Abhikrama, endeavoring. Nashaha, loss. Asti, there is. Pratyavaya, diminution. Na, never. Vidyate, there is. Swalpam, little. Api, although. Asya, of this. Dharmasya, of this occupation. Trayate, releases. Mahataha, of very great. Bhayat, from danger. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Purport. Activity in Krishna consciousness, or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectations of sense gratification, is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can their small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun on the material plane has to be completed, otherwise the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. The performer of such work is therefore not at loss, even if his work in Krishna's consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent results, so that the next beginning is from the point of 2%. Whereas in material activity, without 100% success, there is no profit. Ajamil performed his duty in some percentage of Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100%, by the grace of the Lord. There is a nice verse in this connection in Srimad Bhagavatam. Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam harer bhajan na pako ta patet tato yadi yatra kwa abhadram vabhadram adbhudamushyakim ko varta apta bhajatam swadharmataha. If someone gives up self-gratificatory pursuits and works in Krishna consciousness, and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on this part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Bhagavatam 1.5.17. Or, as the Christians say, what profiteth a man if he gains the whole world, yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? Material activities and their results will end with the body, but work in Krishna consciousness carries the person again to Krishna consciousness even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born again as a human being, either in a family of a great cultured Brahmana or a rich aristocratic family. That will give one further chance for elevation. That is the unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness. Nehabhikrama nashasti pratyavayo navidyate swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So this is one of my favorite verses of the Bhagavad Gita. And it is my favorite because it is so reassuring that when you actually listen to Krishna and when he speaks, it makes so much sense. It is so perfect. The instruction, the observation is so perfect, so wonderful, that it simply increases your faith more and more. It reassures, it actually touches the essence of who you are. The essence of who we are is within the heart. And depending on the condition of how we are within the heart, that determines the nature of our relationship with the body and everything around us. Just recently, we've had the Oscar nominations in America. Every year, it's a big fanfare. Who gets the best prize for the best film, for the best acting? And this actually is the material world. To be successful in the material world, you have to become a good actor. The better actor you are, the more successful you will be. But actually, this act is an external endeavor. What is really important is what is going on within the heart. And there cannot be any cheating, because Krishna is sitting there. Sarvasya chaham ririshanivishto, Krishna says, I am sitting in everyone's heart. Mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. From me, mataha, coming from me, Krishna says. This is the first personal pronoun. Means personal. Krishna is not a power. Krishna is not an impersonal light. Krishna is not some people say you cannot define God. No, you can define God, because he defines himself. And he says, mataha. Personally, he says, from me, jnanam smriti apohanam cha. What comes from me? Knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. In other words, Krishna is monitoring our inner desires, who we really are, and he gives us knowledge and intelligence and forgetfulness so that we can satisfy these desires. And he is actually aware of what we are really like. There is an example in the Vedas of a great king called Purandar. And this king, he became infatuated with a beautiful demigoddess, society demigoddess from the heavenly planets, whose name was Urvasi. And when the relationship broke, he became very, very, very upset. He missed her tremendously. He hankered to have her back, so much so that she came back and she gave him some good advice. And she said, look at me, I'm a woman, I'm a beautiful woman from the heavenly planets. Now I'll tell you what my real nature is. I may be very beautiful, but actually my heart, it is that like the heart of the tiger, simply trying to get benefit for myself, taking advantage of my beauty so that I can increase my pleasure more and more. So what you see, the external beauty, hides something which is actually very, very dangerous. So in the same way, Krishna knows what is actually within our heart. And he gives us the facility to carry out that nature. And frankly, when it comes to the moment of death, then that nature becomes manifest. You may act very, very expertly, but when it comes to the point of death, then acting will not help you. Then the real self will come out, and according to the nature of the self, we will get another body. Prabhupada gave the example of the parrot. The parrot, you can teach him to chant Hare Krishna. And the parrot will chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. In fact, I once lived in Hawaii, in the North Shore, and the lady of the house, she kept very beautiful cockatoos, beautiful parrots. And she taught them how to chant Hare Krishna. But Prabhupada explains the parrot may chant Hare Krishna, but when the cat comes to bite it and to eat it, then the parrot doesn't chant Hare Krishna anymore. Then he goes ga, 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 and he dies. So in the same way, here Krishna says, don't act. Don't build up a house of cards around you. Don't put your energy, your faith, don't put your strength behind trying to satisfy your senses, either directly yourself or through your wife or through your family or through your children or through your country. This is not the way to make progress. The way to make progress is to come clean and to admit that I am an illusion. I am living in a world. I don't know how I came here, what is my duty, and where I will go. Sanatana Goswami explained this to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nicha jati, nicha sangi, patita adham. I am born in a family which is fallen, full of it. What does it mean fallen? Fallen means that doesn't understand the nature of our relationship with God. Anyone who doesn't understand his connection with God is considered fallen. So nicha jati, nicha sangi, my associates, they were the same, also in illusion, trying to enjoy material life. Patita hadam, ku vishai kupepori gonaya janami. I fell into the well of material enjoyment and I lost sight of what is the purpose of life. Ke ami, who am I? Kemo amare jane tapatraya. What are the three miseries giving me troubles? Here nai jani kemone hita hoy. Here I don't understand how to become free from this, how to become liberated from this illusion, from the problems of material life. Shadya sadhana tattva puchite na jani. He said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I'm not even able to ask what is good for me. Please, kripa kori sap tattva kate apani. Please, my dear Lord Chaitanya, take charge of me and explain to me, teach me what is good for me. Being totally absorbed in material sense gratification guarantees that we lose this human form of life. If we simply live to satisfy the senses, we are no better than sophisticated animals and we'll go back to animal life. And this is what this verse is all about. Neha bikrama nasho asti, pratyavayo na vidyate. But if you actually take the spiritual life, there is no loss, there is no diminution. Whatever goodness is in your heart, that remains there. You don't lose it. And swalpam api, even if you get a little bit of advancement in this path, asya dharmasya, dharmasya mean in my duty in relationship with God, if I make one small step, God will recognize that step because it's in our heart. And when Krishna recognizes our sincere attempt to make a little progress, he takes charge of us. That means that in the next life, we don't experience the mahabhaya or the great fear of losing this opportunity, but we take again birth in a situation where we can make spiritual progress. And Suchinam Srimatan Dehe Yoga Brasta Sanjayate Vijayate. This was explained to Arjuna, who asked Krishna, what happens to the person who takes to this path of knowledge, takes to this path of renunciation, who becomes ready to control his senses and not to become overwhelmed by the offerings of this material world, who actually tries to understand who he is. What happens to this person if he doesn't complete his path? Doesn't he get blown away like a riven cloud? Krishna said, no. Such a person, he will take another birth in a devotee family or in a rich aristocratic family, which means that he will have a chance to continue his spiritual advancement. And whatever advancement he has made, the reason that he will get another human birth is that only in a human birth are we able to continue on the path of spirituality. If we embark on the path of spirituality, we will be guaranteed birth after birth, human life to progress. Obviously, if you take birth in animal life, the chances of making spiritual advancement are practically zero. The occasional dog who went to Puri with Shivananda Sena and was liberated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu throwing this dog pulp from a coconut, that's an exception. The tigers and the elephants dancing and the deers dancing together in the forest of Jharkhand, influenced by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's an exception. Normally speaking, animal life means you lose your spiritual advancement. Your spiritual advancement becomes blocked. Again, you have to take birth as a human being. You have to go through all the processes. It's just like in the army. Suppose I'm a lieutenant and I get demoted because I do something wrong, and I get demoted back to private. I don't become a lieutenant again immediately. I have to go through the process. First, I have to become a private first class, then a corporal, then a sergeant, then a lieutenant. You have to go through the steps. In the same way, if our consciousness becomes so absorbed in sense gratification in such a way that that sense enjoyment can easily be had in animal life, we fall to that consciousness, and we have to go through the animal species to again come to the platform of human life. So Rupa Goswami advises us that real devotional service or real spiritual life is Anna Bilashita Shunyam. Shunyam means zero, and Anya means something else, and Abhilasita means desire. So Rupa Goswami says that the definition of spiritual life is not how often you go to the temple or to the church or to the mosque. Spiritual life is not the dress that you're wearing or the show that you make. No, spiritual life means how are you free from any desire for material enjoyment. Anya Abhilashita, other desire. Shunyam, zero. What zero? Jnana, karmadi, anavritam. Zero of jnana, speculative knowledge, and karma, fruit of work. Most people, they become engaged in karma. When they become frustrated with karma, then they go to knowledge, jnana. But these are simpler desires which remain on the material platform. Jnana, karmadi, anavritam. Anukulyena Krishna anusilanam bhakti uttama. But uttama bhakti, or the supreme devotion, is anukulyena Krishna anusilanam, to actually serve Krishna without any material desire. Once Lord Krishna and all his dynasty, all the Yadu kings and princesses and queens, they went to Prabhakshetra during an eclipse of the sun. According to the Vedic system, when the sun or the moon become eclipsed, that is considered inauspicious for humanity. And when that happens, followers of the Vedic system, they bathe in the holy river or in the holy lake and counteract the maleficent influence. So by astrological calculation, the Yadus knew that at such and such a time there would be a solar eclipse, so they all gathered in Prabhakshetra. And, or maybe no, in Kurukshetra, excuse me. And at that time, all the great sages also came there. Vyasadeva, Narada Muni, the four Kumaras, Vishwamitra, Agastya, so many great sages, they came and assembled together. And at that time, there was a great meeting where Krishna's father, Lord Vasudeva, he asked the sages to engage him in performing a sacrifice. And before the sacrifice was performed, Krishna was elected to give speech to welcome the sages. And Krishna welcomed the sages and everybody was waiting to hear what he would say, and he spoke this very, very beautiful verse. Yasyatma buddhi kunapeke tridhatuke swadi kalatradishu bhoma ijjadi yatirtha buddhi shalile na karichit janesu abhigyesu saeva gokaraha. And Krishna said, actually, people who don't understand the spiritual nature, who identify this body as the self, people who will become attached to their family, kalatra, to their wives, adishu, beginning with the wife, children, relatives, boma ijjadi, who worship the land and their flag, in the land in which they were born. When they go to holy places, yatirtha buddhi, like we have come here, Krishna says, and simply bathe in the river, bathe in the water, but don't take advantage, janesu abhigyesu, of those people living in the holy places who are abhigya, who know what is the purpose of life, people who do not take advantage of these sages, who simply go through the rituals, who simply live for material sense gratification, are no better than cow or asses. Go kara. Everybody was surprised. Everybody was stunned by the beauty of Krishna's simple words, 4 statements, and everybody was so surprised. So this is life. We are living in a society which is being governed by great demonic forces. We are living in Kali Yuga, and everybody is simply thinking, I am this body. It is so pervasive that when people ask you where you're from, you don't say, I'm from the spiritual world. You say, I'm from Germany, I'm from Italy, I'm from India. Who are you? I'm a man, I'm a woman. It is so entrenched in the fabric of society, this understanding that I am this body. Aham mameti, I am this body. And from this body, the summum bonum, or the desired position to achieve in the material world, for which everybody is taught from childhood, is how to find a partner, how to find a wife, how to find a husband, and build a family. Kalatradishu. And of course, Boma Ijjadi. Just recently there was an order passed by the British Parliament that in every government building in England they should fly the Union Jack, the flag. Before, they had an option. I think they were only obliged to fly the flag 20 days a year. But the Parliament made sure that this flag should be flown every day. Indeed, in many countries, if you disrespect the flag, you can be punished and you can be put into prison. And everything is based on nationality, and it is so deeply entrenched. Even I myself, I've been practicing Krishna consciousness seriously for more than 50 years, never losing sight of Krishna, never losing sight of what is my duty, notwithstanding so many difficulties. But still, when I see the Italian national team playing soccer, I become so proud. Oh, my team. I am not able to even overcome that after 50 years of study. But I'm hoping that at least in these 50 years, I have accumulated enough sukriti, enough benefit, enough spiritual sukriti. Kriti means to do, and su means to do something positive, something real. I am hoping that I have become attached at least so much to the real thing that next life Krishna will give me an opportunity to continue. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Come, I just finished the Gita class. You just timed it right. Come in.